Okay, my outstanding friends, many of you have taken history, and many of you have taken geology and biology and all that kind of stuff. Well, let's start with history. You've probably heard of the Triassic era, and then came the Jurassic era and the dinosaurs and all that. Well, the Triassic was prior to the dinosaurs. And it consisted of 3 layers: a red clay layer, it's called a red bed, and then a gray layer right on top of that, and then a black layer right on top of that. And this is everywhere in the world. There's no explanation for it. They say it took 50 million years to create this formation. And as always, shocker du jour, I say no. And I think I can prove that that is not correct. And I think I can prove a lot more than that, which really changes everything. History today is completely changed. You will see it in a minute. Okay, what you are looking at here is this, except for the black cap. The black cap goes on top here, which would be on top here. Now, let me show you a picture of the black cap. There is the black cap turned if it was sitting on top of here. That's the 3 layers: the red bed, the gray clay, and the black cap. Well, this is all in one layer. And it's because there was gray clay on top of this red bed, and it was pushed down through when it was soft. So this was soft, and then this came right down on top of it very quickly. Not a long time, because there's no erosion to these little tiny dimples in here. And I'm going to show you that really carefully. Now, so let me show you these examples here. This is in a picture that I took, so I don't have to carry this big thing around and keep putting it on top here, getting it all scratched up. So we're going to see gray clay on top of the red bed, not supposed to be there, and then a black cap on top of that, which is supposed to be there. It's supposed to be red bed, gray clay, black cap. Now, that process, they say, took 50 million years. Let's think about that. All right, this is from chat. It's saying that the red beds, they're widespread, seen across North America, Europe, Asia, Africa. They're literally everywhere. They say fairly widespread. Well, everywhere. Gray and black layers, they're more region specific. Gray isn't always gray. Sometimes it's a different color. And they are region specific. I don't disagree with that. It's depending on the local environment, swamps, seas, lakes, and so forth. And it was... some things drained quicker and slower and whatever. There's a lot of variation, yes, but they all have the red bed, some form of a clay between there and the red bed, and then the black cap. Now, they say the red, gray, black is common, but not globally uniform. I agree with that. It's not exactly the same everywhere, but it is uniform all the way. I mean, not uniform, but it is all the way around the world. That's the Triassic. And at that time, it was called the Great Extinction. Whatever was on Earth, they say, died in the layer in between the Triassic and the Jurassic. Okay, here's a smoking gun right here. This mass extinction happened around 250 million years ago, they claim. It marked the end of the Permian period and the start of the Triassic. This is when the Great Extinction happened, and because the Triassic started and ended from this gigantic worldwide flood. And it was quick. All 3 layers were wet at the same time. Okay, so don't forget we got the red bed, above that's supposed to be the gray clay, then the black cap. All of these were together, and I split the black cap off the top. The black cap, looking at it from the top down, this was right on top of this. The black cap at the top is right here. It's black. And it was sitting right on there when I found this. And I found all this stuff that was around here and this on top of it, and I just basically picked it up. This came from an excavation that was done in my yard. Now, I'm going to show you this very carefully so you'll see the distinction between the red, the gray, and the black, and the footprint, and that it must have been almost instantaneous. All of this happened because if this got pushed down through, it means it was wet. If this molded to the guy's foot, it means that was wet. If this landed on top of here so quick that there was no erosion whatsoever, it means that happened extremely quick. So you got bip, bip, bip. And before that could even land on here, the guy stepped on here. Now we're going to look at his footprint. Don't forget, there's that red bed. That is about red as you can get. It's just nothing but mud. It's just nothing but eroded flesh from the boiled creatures from this boiling hot flood, which I think it was MIT, one of them, said, yes, this happened. There was a boiling hot flood, sometimes gigantic, like many times the size of Mount Everest, almost hit Earth. Well, it was Venus, and that's all recorded by Velikovsky, and we're going to have to revisit that. Now, this is that footprint. All right, there's the balls of the guy's feet right there. You see that? He hit with his heel right here, came down here, the balls of his feet are here, and then he rocked forward. Now, this doesn't have any toes that I can make out individual toes. I think it was from a guy like this, right here, who didn't have any toes. I found this also in my yard. This fits basically right into this. It could have been this guy. I mean, seriously. There's that big lump in the back that hit here, made that big gouge, and coming down the front, you got these, it's almost like the balls of his feet. I don't know. I'm just saying, there's so much here that I have just on my own property. And this changes history profoundly. I mean, absolutely profoundly. All of this happened like on a weekend. I mean, it's just nothing but instantaneous flooding of the earth. So we had the red bed is all the eroded flesh from the boiled creatures, literally. You could do this and do this in a lab. Say take some creatures that are complete and they're not drained of blood or anything. You just boil them in hot, extremely silicate waters, and then just let them settle. But you got to boil them a long, long time, and they will end up turning just like this. I have made my own mud fossils. I didn't do a very good job, but it could be done by somebody who really wanted to do it right. Sorry about that interruption. But anyway, here, this is the red bed. So now, the gray clay was at one time on top of the red bed. Well, guess what? This guy stepped on it. That's gray clay right there. This whole thing is gray clay. There it is there. And you see it coming through the red bed? The red bed was all the way down at one time. And when he stepped on that gray clay, which is this thickness, it pushed it down through the red bed, and so now it's under the red bed. And this is here. Hold on. All right. What we got is the red bed. Should have been all the way down here. And I did have it all the way down to the bottom. Things get lost. But this was pushed through, obviously. You see where the red is up here? That's this red. If I put water on it, you'll see it right away. See, that's the red bed. You see the difference between that and the gray clay? I mean, you can't miss it. And the gray clay was just pushed below it. There's no other way to account for this. This is none. Now, the other key here is that this footprint, and it might have had an opposing toe or something. I don't know. This got me confused. I'm not sure what happened there. But I think this was from, could have been a no-toe. I don't know. And the no-toe is of what I just showed you here, this other foot. I have so much stuff here, it's amazing. Now, I'm going to show you something that shows how fast this did happen. All right, let's first of all look at the guy's balls of his feet. There they are right there. All right, I can't find any individual toes to speak of. There might have been some, but he was moving pretty quick. His heel hit here hard. You see how hard that hit? So he hit like this, and he went forward like that, and just kept on going. Now, when he did that, it went, because this must have been a little bit wet. Now, the area that it would suck up the most, because I call these suck-ups, these little dimples, I'll show you closely in a second. There's very few of them on the edges, because you don't get that suction. You get the suction in the middle. So he hits here, he goes, out here it's not so, and there, not so. Here, and here, a lot. All right, now let's look at that closely, why I say those are suck-ups. You see how bumpy they are? There was little balls of air in there. Here, not so much suction. See how there's almost nothing there. In the middle, there's a ton of it. And on this side, not so much too. You see it? But in the middle, there's a ton of it. And here's the balls of his feet right here. It's just what it is. So this black cap coming down on top of here had to be almost instantly. All three layers happened at the same time. It's just so obvious, it's unbelievable. And that changes everything you've heard about history. Literally everything. Nothing is what we were told, really, to be perfectly honest with you. And they say this took 50 million years. This took like a weekend. Oh, and this is what they base history on. I'm telling you right now, the Triassic era here in Connecticut, where I am, is one of the linchpins of dating the history of all this stuff. Well, I have a whole new date on this stuff. I go with Velikovsky. And we're going to look into that later. But this, I would like to have somebody challenge me. Say, no, Roger, you're not right. That can't be. Well, I have the evidence right here. It's sitting in my hands. So I think I've made a pretty good case. And this changes literally everything you have been told about the ancient past of our planet. There were creatures here that we don't know about. There was these no-toes. I got all kinds of things nobody's ever seen before. I mean, a lot of stuff. And I got approached by a lot of people that had a lot of stuff that they couldn't show either because people don't want to see this. It changes everything so dramatically that it's a shock to the system. But, you know, if you want to go with truth, here's the place to find it. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I love you all. Thank you. Bye.